Hi friends, welcome to Canadian Cutting Edge, and we've got another Fixed Blade Friday for you. At least I hope this video comes out on Friday. This is the Real Steel Knives Pathfinder bushcraft knife. Ivan D. Braginets is the designer of this thing. Came out several months ago, late last year, early this year, something like that. Anyhow, it's a classic bushcraft knife, but modern, quite modern indeed in a lot of ways. So if you're looking for a fixed blade knife and you want a bushcraft knife, maybe this will be it, maybe it won't. I'll tell you why on both counts and maybe give you other information as well. So stick around, it's coming to you right now on Canadian Cutting Edge. Now, I've reviewed several bushcraft knives, but I'm not a bushcrafter per se. Those of you who know a little bit about me, know about my disabilities and challenges and stuff. I'm not going to go out into the wilderness and do a survival trip for a week or two. No, I do like camping though, so I go camping every once in a while. And so I do outdoors-ish. Why is that word not coming out of my mouth? I don't know. I've done those kind of tasks for a long time. That's the context of the reviewer, at least part of the context. Let's take a look at this knife. This knife is, it seems pretty clear it's a real steel knife, even without seeing the label on it. It just has real steel sort of things on it, although it is an Ivan D. Braginets design. It says so right there across the ricasso. Oh, let's do the badging, sure. Then real steel up here, not too terribly big, I like that. On the other side, we've got Ivan's logo right there. And right here, it says 14C28N, which is, I think by a fairly wide margin, my favorite budget steel. It just has such a great balance of toughness, durability, and edge retention. It's a really, really good choice. And corrosion resistance. What do we got for a blade style though? We've got a drop point blade. Do I have a straight edge here? Sure I do. I got a piece of paper. If you put the piece of paper on the spine, let's see if I can line this up so you can see. Just a small drop point right there. Not an awful lot. It's coming down a little bit. Then we've got a shallow belly. A lot of Scandi grind knives have a more abrupt belly. And if that's what you want, that's great. But if you want one of these with a really pointy tip, for doing, tip carving, drilling holes in wood, that kind of stuff, you want a fairly pointy tip like this, which it's not uncommon, but it's much less common than the more rounded belly. Got the Scandi grind. They say it's 26 degrees, meaning 13 degrees per side. We're going to measure that today. Because very seldom do companies say, what grind angle they have. And even on Scandi grind knives, they don't often say what grind angle it is. So we'll see in a little while if this really is 13 degrees per side or not. But we've got thick steel, over 1/8 of an inch thick. We've got a stonewash finish. Of course, the edge grind is satin. It's a 0 degree grind. It almost looks like they did a tiny bit, might have touched the tip on this one side here a little bit afterwards. But on this side, it just looks like it's got that one bevel right to the apex, and most of this right to the apex. Just looks a little different right here. And so I'm not sure why that is, but it's quite sharp. It's quite sharp indeed. We'll go through all those measurements later on. One of the things that screams out that this is a real steel knife is the sharpener's choil right here. A lot of companies, the sharpener's choil is, made with an end mill turning, and looks like it was drilled out, right? But you don't drill into the side of steel, you use an end mill. This looks like it on the ricasso side, but on the edge side here, it's flat out. I mean, it's a straight line coming across this way, which means things don't get caught in the sharpener's choil as much. So I like that. And that's very classic real steel. Other companies do it too, but it's classic real steel to do that. The other stuff about this thing, maybe not so real steelish. The handle scales, well, this is micarta. It comes in 3 colors. We've got a bit of a swell coming down, or there's a swell this way too. It's narrower here and gets thicker in the middle and gets more narrow. It does a swell this way in the handle too. So an index finger and a pinky finger kind of grip area, and it's got a bit of an arch to help it fit into the palm of the hand. We've got 2 little jimps for a little bit forward reach, because sometimes when you're doing bushcraft, you want to sneak up and you want to be cutting right close to where you got the most power and the most precision right there. Not fond of that. It's just too little. I wish they would have taken that jimping and brought it, down into where your index finger sits. Then that would offer more grip. Right now, that's actually kind of awkward. I'm not calling it a negative per se, but I don't think it's the positive that they hoped it would be, because why spend the effort of putting those jimps in there if you don't think it's going to be a really nice touch? So yeah, not so much. But the handle, fairly comfortable, sort of a teardrop shape. I don't know if it'll focus up here. Focus, there you go. It's focusing on my hands, and so you can sort of see the shape of the handle coming rounded. Oh, there we go, it's focused up there, and then coming down, although it's not so much doing that there as here. So the tip of the teardrop is down here, and in most of the handle, that's okay. You can see the flat spot there. It's a little bit recessed back off of the steel full tang handle, but near this spot here where your index finger goes, they've cut in here and they've cut in here, and it comes a fair bit more narrow right there, which I wish it didn't. I wish it didn't come so narrow there. Some people really like that. For me, I find when I'm doing some hard use, making feather sticks for a while or whatever, and which I did, and it works great for that, it's just a little too narrow. It didn't, my finger didn't get hot. That's the word that people like to use. It's hot in the hand. No, it's just mildly irritating. So it's a pretty minor thing right here. I think it would have been better if they just wouldn't have cut these 2 little scallops out here and just left it sort of smooth like that. That would have been good. By the way, this blue is not this color out of the box. I'll insert a little bit video right here of the unboxing. It's gotten dark blue from use. So oils from my skin during use outside. We've had some nice warm weather. And I didn't break out into a sweat really, but just skin oils have made it this darker blue color. And I kind of like it this way actually. And it's not too slick. It's pretty good. They did sand it and stuff, but quite nice. We've got, I think those are T8 screws right there. Let me see. Yeah, definitely T8. A little bit of more play in there than there needs to be, but not bad. I'll take the handle scales off. Well, hey, why don't I do it right now? No, not quite right now. In a minute. So yeah, the handles are pretty comfortable. Lanyard hole, they just have a classic lanyard hole right at the end, so it's the best place for it, although I wish they would have done more like Real Steel's used to doing before. A little bit of jimping back here, but I can't really understand why. You're not going to probably use a Scandi grind knife as a fighting knife. That's when that jimping comes in most handy. Otherwise, you've got the jimping on the spine. Pretty good. Like the placement of it and how far it goes out is quite good. Even if you're up here, your hand is mostly, or your thumb is mostly over the jimping. So yeah, they don't have to redo the jimping for me. It's quite comfortable indeed. So the basic shape of it, quite good. The edges are chamfered slightly and then all the way around, so you don't have any sharp edges of the steel here. Helps make everything quite comfortable. The only sharp edge is the cutting edge. So yeah, let's see if we can get those handle scales off now. Okay, I've taken the 2 screws out. Let's take this off for the first time. And there you go, you've got a very classic, that's more the color that the micarta was out of the box. And you've got some skeletonizing here to help with the weight balance. I didn't show you that before, I probably should have. I can show it to you in a minute. I don't mind this cutout. I've had some people say, oh, that's not solid steel, that's going to be too weak. Nope. Technically, is it weaker than solid steel? Yeah. But is it weak to the degree that it's too weak to use? No. This is zero issues whatsoever during normal use. You're not going to have a problem with this handle because they've done some weight reduction in here. You just won't under any normal use. Of course, you can do abusive testing and wreck stuff if you want to, but under normal use, no, not a problem. And yeah, see, there's that D-shaped pin right there. Very, very simple construction. I wouldn't have minded if they wouldn't have put a screw head on here. I don't like screw heads when they can't turn. You know, with a D-shaped pin, you're going to try to turn that, and it's not going to turn, and you're going to end up marring that and making it look ugly. So I'd much rather just had a clean, flat, excuse me, my stomach, a clean flat head right there, so it wouldn't be, you wouldn't even be tempted to screw in there, put a screwdriver in there. But there you go. Very simply made. Well, I said I would talk about the sheath next, but just before I sort of teased, and I didn't mention it before, the balance point. There's the balance point on it. Not bad. It's right where that index finger choil section is. Yeah, the balance point's pretty good. And the sheath. I'd rather they had their classic style sheath, the sheath style that they've done before, and I'll show you one in just a minute. But this is not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I don't know why. I had not even looked at pictures of the sheath. I didn't even look it up. I just looked at the knife and decided, yeah, I want to review that knife. And when it came in the sheath, yeah, a number of people in the unboxing said that sheath, not a chance. They don't want it. That's not going to work for them. And yeah, that makes sense to me. We've got this kind of Cordura fabric stuff and Velcro, although just in my testing now, you know, the Velcro's fine, but this soft inner side is starting to fluff off and peel off right there already. That's just the way it goes. You can buy these separately at what, 10, 12 bucks US, something like that. At least on the Real Steel website. I don't know if they've got it in other places as well. The sheath with these snaps here, not so much. It is basically MOLLE compatible. It's not designed for a MOLLE system, but you can put straps through here, and those are sewn down. You know, nice square sew pattern, everything. That's strong. So you could, you know, attach it to something and it's not going to come off. So if that's how you want to carry it, that's an option for this, and it's not heavy at all. It's very, very light, and I'll do the weights and measurements later on. The snaps here are pretty good. Here's the instructions for them because it's important. The angle of opening snap button can only be from bottom to top, meaning if you got your snap on and you need to put it in on the opposite order. If you just try to put it on straight, it doesn't want to go. Or if you're trying to put the bottom edge on first, it doesn't go. So like that, snaps on. That snap holds extremely tightly. It's not coming loose by accident. It just isn't. Same thing with this one. For that, it's really well made. But it takes a fair bit of force to take it off. So you have to be ready to do that when you want to do it. That's a very high ride on the hip if you're going to put your belt in there. That's still too high of a ride on the hip for me, and I tried it that way and I just didn't like it. And so what I decided to do was do a dangle carry. They put this split ring in there. This is from the factory. I didn't add anything to this. And you've got this nice strong belt here. And what I did was, I'll just try to show it with my pants here. Although I don't have a belt in here, I clipped this carabiner, just a simple carabiner, over my belt. And so it's over the belt like that. And I snapped this into the belt. And then it dangles low on the leg. Still, my hand, you know, comes down to here easily because there's your pocket right there. So your hand's in your pocket. That's not too low, but it's nice and free. Getting in and out of the vehicle's easy, comfortable to carry. It's not a lot of extra weight. It's pretty light. And I didn't mind it that way. And I only had one, what I thought was a weird look from a neighbor when I was walking outside, taking my dog outside and stuff. I wanted to test and see, just carrying it all day on my hip one day. So everything that I did. And yeah, I don't mind it that way, doing that kind of dangle carry if that's what you want to do. Except for when it's time to put the knife back in. It's basically a two-hand operation because I found it hard to get the knife, well, this time, of course, because I'm doing it on camera and I've played with it a lot, to get it to slide in just right. Often, it would catch. So the tip would catch on the inside right there because you can't do much of a different angle. Like that's already tried as shallow angle as I can, and the tip would catch in there, and that's happening. That happened a lot. If you miss that, then it works much better and put it in there. And of course, if you do it the wrong way around and try to put it in this way, then you're just asking for trouble. So let's talk about how they could have improved this sheath, and then we'll talk about what sheath could be better. I'll turn it inside out a little bit if I can, because I tried to get pictures of this otherwise and I just couldn't. So let's turn it inside out a little bit. There you go. So they've got this nice durable material. It's a little bit flexible. That's your sheath guard. That's what your edge is going to go into, actually this way. And so it catches on there too a little bit because it's got dimples in it and bumps. So the tip can catch in there, and then you're stuck a little bit, and you're pushing, and then you have to hold it just right. So they could have used a different material for this, and it should be longer. It should be coming up to here. Like this material should be coming up to here and just sort of be opened. And then it would be much easier to get this in there just right to get it to close. So this is a two-hand returning the knife to your sheath operation. Almost every time. I got lucky a few times, but that's not great. It's just not great at all. I haven't talked about this yet, though. They've got this snap here, a hollow snap. So if you've got another way of attaching it, you can do that. If you've got a different dangle system that you like, then just leave this snapped in down here. Bottom first, there you go. Or that end first, and then this side. So you can do that. And it doesn't have big loud badging on it, which is nice. Some real steel used to have a little louder badging. And this Velcro thing, I'm not terribly fond of that solution right there. So what would have been better? Here's the Real Steel Bushcraft Zenith. I like this. I like this a lot. I wish this would have been like genuine leather right here, but you got a snap and you've got your knife. It's shorter. And by the way, the Bushcraft Zenith, this is an OSTAP held design, really well done. I would have liked a little bit longer version, but 14C28N, a little bit thicker than this, like I said, and really cool design. I really like that lanyard back there. But the sheath is what's really the best. We've got Pancake Kydex sheath. It has the dangliness of it'll go anywhere when you sit down to stay out of your way. You got good retention with the Kydex. It's, no heavier in the sheath than that Cordura, and it's just really nice. So I don't know if it was Ivan Braginets' desire to have this kind of sheath, or if it was Real Steel wanting to try this kind of sheath, because they've done this kind of sheath a number of times, but it's much better. By the way. So let's do some sizes, dimensions, some stuff like that next. All right, the measurements. First measurement, I didn't put it, I measured it in grams. I didn't convert it. I'll convert it on the screen. 169 grams for this. Right around 6 ounces, I think. Well, it'll say up there. This is 56 grams. Together, 225 grams. Not bad at all for the weight of this size of a knife. The sharpness from the factory on this thing, awesome. The average best score I got is around 100 bests, which is very, very good. It's not excellent, but it's very good. I like that a lot. Much better than average for the knives I review. The cutting edge length, so at the end of that sharpness tool right there, my thumb is to the tip. It's pretty close to the same as the blade length. That is 116.1 millimeters, 4.57 inches. Blade length, so tip of the blade to where the G10 starts, that's 116.8 millimeters, 4.6 inches. So that's a big blade, 4.6 inches. And I'm going to go see what Bandit's up to because people don't like hearing the barking in the background. All right, that's better. Blade thickness, 3.48 millimeters. That's 0.137 of an inch. So like I said, a bit over an eighth of an inch. The blade depth this way, it's widest right here. Heel of the blade, 28.7 millimeters, 1.13 inches. The grind angles, they're saying it's 26 degrees, meaning 13 degrees per side. But it's not, it's 14 degrees per side, almost on the nose, 14 degrees. Not far off. That's not a big problem. That's 1 degree off per side. That's one of the reasons why if you wanted to baton with it, and I did test batoning a little bit, it works just fine batoning, although I don't recommend batoning with a knife. Get the right tool for the job, get a fro. But if you want a one tool knife and you're going to be batoning, get something with a Scandi grind. Although a little thicker blade would have been better, like the Bushcraft Zenith. Back to this knife with measurements though. Now for the handle, the length of the handle, 128.7 millimeters, which is 5.07 inches, so 5-inch handle. The thickness of the handle at the thickest spot, 20.1 millimeters, 0.791 of an inch. The depth of the handle at the widest spot, 30.7 millimeters, 1.21 inches. And the grip, since we've got that jimping there, I'm going to count that. So from my thumbnail to my thumbnail, a little over 11 centimeters, a little over 4¼ inches. So big hands have a lot of room. My hand's just barely in the extra large range. And look at that extra room there. So most hands will fit this knife just fine. No problem at all. The total length of this thing, 245 millimeters roughly, which is that number of inches. Yeah, how much does it cost? It's $71 at White Mountain Knives. And of course, at White Mountain Knives, you can save 10% with coupon code CCE. That makes it $63.90 US. So there you go. Not a bad price for what you get. That's about $87 Canadian on the day I'm recording this in the middle of May 2024. I didn't find this in any stores in Canada. But a fixed blade like this, you can order it from the United States and it will get past customs. Canada Border Services Agency, CBSA. It'll get past them without any issues because it's just a classic hunting, bushcrafting style fixed blade. Okay, one more thing I haven't talked about. The first knife that was a bush Pathfinder like this is called the Pathfinder. There's a folding version of it. It's got a little bit shorter blade, very similar aesthetic. So if you're looking for that, go ahead and get yourself the folding version if you want to. But the fixed blade version is like this. The folding version, you can also buy a sheath. It folds, it's got its pocket clip and everything, but they have it made out of the same kind of material. So if you want to have an out-of-pocket sheath, like a belt sheath, the Pathfinder bushcraft knife folding version has that available as well, at least from Real Steel Knives directly. So there you go. What do I think of this thing? I really like the blade shape. You know, really fine tip here. It's a decent knife. It felt good in the hand. Some things that are a little bit awkward, you know, putting the knife in the sheath and the carry options. But although I do like how low this dangles, I really like it when I did it with the carabiner. Comfortable in hand. This handle is more comfortable than the Zenith handle. But it's a good performing knife. Good steel. Nice stonewash finish. You got your lanyard hole right here for a rope. So that's kind of nice. It feels good. It's got a good weight. Nice light sheath. It's a decent knife. If you're looking for, you know, a bushcraft knife in this price range, you know, $63.90 US, you're going to find a whole lot worse knives for the same prices. Yeah, you're going to find cheaper knives too, but probably not with 14C28N in this size. for a bushcraft knife. So if you've got a way of if you don't like the sheath, I should say, if you really dislike the sheath and you've got a way of maybe making your own sheath, and making one of these is not terribly difficult. Any sheath maker can do that for you, and you might be able to do it yourself. You know, just supply them. Maybe you have to supply them with this. Just cut out a seat belt from something at the auto wreckers. It's the same kind of material. You could get, you know, a decent sheath out of this, and it's not designed for super great retention in a sheath like this, because, you know, this is made, you know, to match this, but you've got, you know, this extra little bit right here that it catches onto. This, it's a little smooth all over, so it's not going to have that super snap, most likely, but it's nice. And I like the micarta, and I like the nice blue. The blue, oh, I banged my watch on the table. The blue is just a beautiful color. I'm very happy with that. So there you go. I think this video is much longer than they usually are, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Thank you so much for watching my video. Try to cut the edge on my finger. Oh, yeah, got a little bit of skin there. Remember, friends, cut towards your chum, not your thumb or index finger for that matter. Have a good one. Bye for now.